imagine, if you will, that you are Hunter Biden's lawyers and the Justice Department offered you this sweet deal on a long list of things that your client is basically going to get away with. And then all of a sudden that sweet deal is no longer on the table. Be like, what? I thought this was this is not a slam dunk. No.
He's like going, having a great weekend. He's like, wow, I got that one. Pulled that wool over their eyes.
Yeah. Just as you thought you got away with it, right? That's what lawyers for Hunter Biden said in a filing on Sunday. Here's their response. It's actually, I'm going to show it to you in depth later because it's a little bit comical. They're kind of like, let me just paraphrase. They're like, dude, you offered us this, like you offered to pay for dinner here. And now you're not? What? So they were due this response because the Justice Department filed a motion to dismiss the entire case against Hunter Biden. This is the one where he got a sweetheart deal. We're going to go over it in a second. So in a late Friday news dump, the Justice Department said, we're going to hire a special counsel. Oh, and dismiss this lawsuit because we got to go back to the drawing board, basically. So just to recap, Hunter Biden, he has so many smoking guns of bad things we can't even count. We know that the Justice Department was trying to shield information from his laptop on social media. We know that already. We know that his laptop showed that his father was supporting his lifestyle and at the same time benefiting from payouts from foreign actors, both Bidens. We know that the younger Biden paid for sex workers and drugs out of his business accounts. We know that from Congress. None of this conspiracy theory now. We can all, I think, agree on this. We know that President Biden lied about not being involved in those business accounts. I don't think anyone disputes those things. Biden supporters only just say, it's not so bad. Is that,
Well, no, what Biden supporters say and what the media has said is, oh, but he's got such a loving father.
Right.
Like that's been like this. They twist and they're like, but Biden's standing by his son. Like that's love. That's family love.
Okay.
Right?
He literally sold influence to, for political influence, that does not benefit it basically sold out the entire American population. Remember, I was just thinking about this today when they're like, is that so bad? Remember how the media freaked out about how Donald Trump was surcharging the government on golf carts and hotel rooms and his properties when he was president? I mean, that in and of itself was like a minor scandal that he was benefiting from the presidency personally by using his hotels for diplomatic meetings. And we all freaked out about that. You're not supposed to do that, right? But literally selling access to a politician, we have to think both of those things are not right. We have to have stronger rules about both of those things. Don't you agree? Clearly not. So the Justice Department knows about all of this. They offered him a plea deal with a fine and no jail time, and a judge in late July refused to sign off because it seemed to her that she was being asked to rubber stamp a deal that would preclude any further trouble for Hunter Biden. And she absolutely thought that smelled fishy. Here's what she said in that hearing on July 26th. She says, I'm not convinced that this actually is a plea under subsection B, which you all suggest is me rubber stamping the plea if it's a knowing plea. But even if it were, I have testimony under oath, both that the defendant is concerned about ensuring that he has immunity from additional charges, and also that, well, he doesn't need that in terms of the plea deal. So I need to think about it. So what she's saying here, and I read that kind of badly, I apologize, is that I can't sign off on him for future things. I can only sign off on this thing, what we're charging him with.
Right. Like you're asking me to sign off on future immunity
right.
from future crimes.
And she's like, that doesn't smell right.
What? Like he gets right. Like a blanket
that sounds
immunity?
Great.
I know. Like he's got some sort of blanket immunity. What the hell? Like we're just going to, what I rule on now will future proof him in the, for things he does in the future.
Right. And, the Biden administration wanted this to just go away, pay the fine, tax deduction. Right?
Right.
Is the fine a tax deduction? I would assume it is. Yeah.
I guess so.
And so then, this is over for us. We can campaign. We can put it behind us. No more Hunter Biden laptop stories. So that's why on Friday, Attorney General Merrick Garland announced that there would be a special counsel. And the Justice Department then, while they're getting ready for that, asked the court to just disappear this whole Delaware case. Here's the filing. They said, can you please dismiss this with prejudice. Respectfully submits this motion to vacate the court's briefing and basically let's clean slate, dismiss the case, and then we will start all over with a special investigation. So now we have a special investigation. It bears asking this question. Why do we need all these special investigations? Like, shouldn't we have a full trust in an investigation as it goes forward, right? Now this is the third most, high profile one in about 5 years. So here is AG Garland announcing this on Friday.
In a July 2023 letter to Congress, Mr. Weiss said that he had not to that point requested special counsel designation. On Tuesday of this week, Mr. Weiss advised me that in his judgment, his investigation had reached a stage at which he should continue his work as a special counsel, and he asked to be so appointed. Upon considering his request, as well as the extraordinary circumstances relating to this matter, I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint him as special counsel. This appointment confirms my commitment to provide Mr. Weiss all the resources he requests. It also reaffirms that Mr. Weiss has the authority he needs to conduct a thorough investigation and to continue to take the steps he deems appropriate independently, based only on the facts and the law. Mr. Weiss will also continue to serve as U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware. As special counsel, he will continue to have the authority and responsibility that he has previously exercised to oversee the investigation and decide where, when, and whether to file charges. The special counsel will not be subject to the day-to-day supervision of any official of the department, but he must comply with the regulations, procedures, and policies of the department. Consistent with the special counsel regulations, at the conclusion of Mr. Weiss's work, he will provide me with a report explaining the prosecution or declination decisions reached by him. As with each special counsel who has served since I have taken office, I am committed to making as much of his report public as possible, consistent with legal requirements and department policy. Today's announcement affords the prosecutors, agents, and analysts working on this matter the ability to proceed with their work expeditiously and to make decisions indisputably guided only by the facts and the law. The men and women undertaking this investigation are public servants who have dedicated their careers to protecting the citizens of this country. The appointment of Mr. Weiss reinforces for the American people the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters. I am confident that Mr. Weiss will carry out his responsibility in an even-handed and urgent manner and in accordance with the highest traditions of this department. Thank you.
All right, so he took no questions and he, cut and ran right out of there on a Friday. Now, I want to just sort of highlight that he said that Attorney Weiss will decide when, where, and whether. Those are a lot of hypotheticals, right? And to charge Hunter Biden as if there are other places that might be better for this. There are other times, right? So these are things that you're like, is that more convenient for Hunter Biden or is it not? It's a valid question. Now, they basically have to go back to the drawing board. This sounds like an okay idea, right? Because this plea deal, we should all agree, was a sweetheart deal. Now, maybe there'll be a real investigation with real charges, maybe, but there are some weird things about it. First of all, why is this weird? Attorney General David Weiss asked to be the special counsel, even though he is already investigating Hunter Biden. This means he gets broader powers to look in more broader communications and coordination. But that's a bit like auditing your own taxes because he already has been investigating Hunter Biden. Second, according to the general powers of special counsel, a special counsel has to come from outside of the government so that there's no conflict, such as the one I just pointed out, because you shouldn't be looking into an investigation that you've already looked into. Here is the law from that code. It says a special counsel must be a lawyer with a reputation for integrity and impartial decision making. and with appropriate experience to ensure both that the investigation will be conducted ably, expeditiously, and thoroughly, and that the investigative and prosecutorial decisions will be supported by an informed understanding of the criminal law and Department of Justice policies. So Bob Mueller and John Durham, they were both pulled out of private practice to conduct their special counsel investigations. So presumably AG Garland knows that special counsel has to be from outside. Why do we get one from inside?
It's a glaring oversight, right? I mean, it's right there, right in black and white. There's no ambiguity about it. They cannot be working in the government to take this job.
It's from the Code of Federal Regulations. Like, it's literally written there. So, that someone from outside takes a look at, like, it's an audit. Basically, it's an audit of an investigation. Now we have so many whistleblowers inside the IRS saying we were precluded from looking at certain things. We were shut down when we tried to look at certain things, and that it was not the head of the IRS that did it. The head of the IRS said this comes from outside, above my pay grade, right? So we know that somebody was doing something. Who was it? We absolutely should get an impartial look at this. Is this the right guy? Now, he's saying, Attorney White, that he needs to investigate how this Hunter Biden case has been investigated, but he never said that he was even done. So back in June, when the sweetheart deal was announced, he released this press release, and I know this is a crappy look at it, but it just says underneath, this investigation is ongoing. He never said this is the end of it, that plea deal. So we kind of had an inkling that he was going to keep going. And so it's just a bit confusing, right? Now, he knew there when he wrote this in June that there was more here. So the question just remains, did the government try to end this investigation with this plea deal, or didn't it? In my opinion, which I know you didn't ask for, I think the two major special investigations that we've got in recent years over Russiagate and the Trump firing of James Comey, I think those both got it right. This one doesn't have an outside lead, though. So can we put our full faith in these, given that those two have, in my opinion, garnered trust in the Justice Department? But then this one has this major conflict. How are we supposed to feel? It's hard not to draw conclusions here. We're going to keep trying. I'm not drawing conclusions. I'm just asking questions. But interesting, again, is this response from Hunter Biden's lawyers to the government's request to dismiss the Delaware case. They're basically saying, like, look, you offered this deal, this sweetheart deal. We still want it. Here's their filing saying, first, we accepted this idea that we settle. Second, the settlement was proposed and dictated from prosecutors. So their fourth point is, like, we're still here to finish it off. We know the judge said we couldn't have this deal, but she said to work out a new one. We still want to stay at the table. We'd still like to take this deal, please, and just work it out in a way the judge will sign off on. I don't think they're going to have that chance. This deal will probably go up in smoke, and they will contend with a lot more heat through this new special investigation. So, we have two ways to feel about it. One, they didn't follow the rules on how to appoint a special investigator, and they're auditing themselves. But two, the previous two special investigations we got were fairly well done. So it's a glass half empty type thing. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments below.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.